Hello and welcome to IABM TV. Today I'm joined by Andy Hooper, VP and Commercial Lead Origin Products at Edgeware. Andy, welcome to IABM TV.
Thank you.
So Andy, what challenges does StreamBuilder help broadcasters, content owners and distributors overcome?
Sure. So StreamBuilder is our Origin product that we've built over the last 3 years now. We've been evolving it pretty rapidly over that time, and over the last 6 months we've really been focusing our R&D and our investments on a few key challenge areas. And what we're finding in the industry, especially as the boundaries are blurred between content owners and how they distribute content and distributors and how they want to distribute content, the challenges that we tend to start to see are that the creation of new channels and new forms of content out of a different mix of inputs of live and on-demand file-based content are quite significant. So, for example, if you want to create, if you're a global content distributor and you want to create regional variations, for example, of one of your channels. So if you want to have promos and fillers in between your main programs or within your live events, or if you want to have regionalized advertisements which are more relevant to a particular regional audience, then scaling the traditional production facilities that you may have from a broadcast perspective can be quite an expensive way of doing that. And of course, the smaller the regions and the targets, the more uneconomical it can become to add just brand new channels. So that's one challenge. So how do you, as a global content owner, regionalize your channels and your offer at in a cost-effective way? So that's challenge one. And then if you're a distributor, if you're an IPTV company or a cable distributor within a territory, how you take content from broadcasters and then make it more relevant for your local market, if that's what you have got the rights to do, is another challenge that is quite tricky for companies to actually address. But addressing that in a cost-effective way, and in the case of live or VOD, making it look just like another live or VOD asset from the point of view of the manifest and the streaming of the content, that's quite difficult.
And so you've touched on it a bit there, Andy, but what makes StreamBuilder unique?
So from my perspective, it's really the essence of what we've designed into the approach to solving those problems that makes it unique. And to give you some specific half technical aspects to that, one of the things that we do is we actually insist on receiving streams, and we segment the content ready for OTT delivery within StreamBuilder. And that's really important. You know, if you look at a lot of the transcoders and the encoders out there on the marketplace today, you can configure them to issue a HLS stream or a dash stream, for example. But really the options and the flexibility is not really there to do some of these more advanced use cases and to solve some of these problems that we're talking about. If you just need a basic stream, absolutely fine. If you need to start recombining content, if you need to start switching content in and out, then that's a much more difficult challenge to address with those more straightforward packages that are built into the encoders. So we very much insist for applications of a StreamBuilder to take that capability and move it into the origin, if you will. We take very well transcoded streams from our partner companies who we work with from a transcoding perspective. We then segment that content very carefully, and it's the unique approach to that segmentation that we believe then gives us a pretty unique offer on the marketplace, because we can recombine content. We actually segment down into CMAF format. So CMAF is our native internal storage. So for one thing, we're then only storing one format for recordings, for catch-up TV and time shift and so on. But then we recombine and stitch content within that CMAF domain. And so what that means is that we can do that on a very frame accurate basis. We can do it very reliably. And we can also do it into any downstream packaged format, including smooth. So we're one of the few companies that can offer a regionalized ad insertion solution, for example, and deliver that into the smooth domain if some smooth streaming clients are still part of what you need to do as a company.
Okay, so you must be seeing quite a lot of interest at the moment in the current climate. What's been the response to the launch of StreamBuilder from customers and your potential customers?
Yeah, so we've been really pleased with a lot of the feedback this year, especially in these more advanced use cases. And To quote a couple of examples, we've been working with a global services provider to the broadcast industry who did an evaluation of, I think they said, 16 options of combinations of encoders with packages or separate packages. And for the use cases they were addressing in this more advanced area, we were really one of the, I think they told us we were the only one that could address all of the requirements that they had. So out of 16 options, that was pretty reassuring. Of course, we don't rest on our laurels. We don't know how long we're going to have that unique position. Other people may catch us up, but that was really good and interesting feedback. Another of our current customers who has given us some nice feedback for some new features is a broadcaster who is using us for currently live recordings of live channels. And they wanted us to, instead of recording onto COT servers and local flash storage, they wanted to make use of object storage in the cloud. So they were actually our lead customer for our new implementation of object storage. They went live about 4 months ago. And their feedback on that deployment has been spectacular, actually. They've been extremely pleased. They said that the performance that we're able to deliver for the data transfer into the object storage from our recording capability is excellent. It's very reliable. It's robust. It's clearly cloud native from their perspective, unlike some of the other solutions that they've tried to use. And indeed, then taking from the storage and repackaging and sending out, they're also extremely pleased with the performance there. So that's two really nice pieces of feedback that we received over the last 4 weeks.
Excellent. That's good to hear, Andy. So let's move on to StreamPilot. So what's new with StreamPilot this year?
Yeah, so StreamPilot is our offer for multi-CDN control. It's a SaaS product that we debuted at IBC last year. We introduced it there, and it's our offer to give you, as a content distributor, control over your streaming when you are delivering over a multi-CDN infrastructure. So if you have multiple options for CDN, what are the business rules and the decisions that you need to make in order to actually decide which CDN and which route a particular session should stream across at any one point in time. And one of the key things that we've done recently with StreamPilot is we've listened a lot to particularly what I would call the global scale content providers who've looked at StreamPilot and are trialing it with us. And what they've said is that compared to what we debuted at IBC, which was very much about providing visibility and data and quality of experience information in a very visual way, what they've said is that's great, but actually at the scale I'm operating at and the number of countries I'm distributing to and the number of networks I have to traverse, I can't scale that with my operations team. I can't triple the size of my operations team overnight. It's great that you're giving me all this data, but actually what would really add value is if you automate some of the decision-making for me for the data that you're then providing into the ops center. So that's really the new features that we've been working on over the last 6 months and we've now announced and have included in the StreamPilot offer. Really that very specific automated decision process for decisions that can be automated. We don't claim that everything can be automated, but there are certain decisions about surpassing, for example, a latency threshold or seeing that clients in a particular ISP's network are all downloading at lower bit rates and automating the decision to move them all to a different CDN. That's the kind of thing that we can provide automation for now. So that's really the new investment there.
So we hear the word automation quite often, but why is automation in this instance of interest to broadcasters and content owners, end users?
Yeah, so I think, and quite obviously, we don't want to pretend that we're taking away all of the operations jobs here. This is really about addressing the scaling problem. Everyone wants more data. Everyone wants more insight and more information. And the downside of that is that with all of that knowledge and all of that insight comes a need to process it and to act upon it. So if you're doing that from a purely manual basis, then clearly you have to plan the introduction of this kind of system in line with a plan with your operations teams. So what are you going to do? Are you going to actually scale your team by a factor of 50% or 100% so that you can actually process all this data? That's probably not going to be cost effective for most operators. So the automation of some of those features, along with the data that we provide, really for us is the key to unlocking a lot more deployments where we can actually help operators not just to improve the quality of experience for their subscribers, but also to do that in a way which scales in a sensible way with the operations teams, and make sure that those operations teams are brought along in that journey with all of that new data and insight that we can provide them with.
Okay, well, Andy, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for the time.
So you can find out more about everything we've discussed with Andy today at edgeware.tv.